Welcome back to Blocks Live TV. We're here to talk about the mass adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. Now, we had museums and general ATMs now issuing Bitcoins, and joining me on the line is Jason Fernandes from AA Token. Jason, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how would you describe the change? And suddenly you have major museums, major high street chains adopting Bitcoin, saying that that's fine, pay us.
Yeah, I think Bitcoin over the past several years has become more and more mainstream. So certainly over the last several months, Bitcoin has stayed mostly stable, hovering around the 6,300 to 6,500 mark, and I think that has really helped it grow in adoption. Like investors really like high growth, but they really price stability over everything. So I think Bitcoin has proven over this past several years that it's something legitimate, and it's something that's growing. And a lot of people see it as the original cryptocurrency. So if you believe in cryptocurrency in general, you pretty much have to believe in Bitcoin, and you know that that's going to be successful. So over the past few months, rather, a lot of countries have been implementing Bitcoin ATMs all around the world. And in fact, even on the Hollywood Walk of Stars. And I think it's basically a reflection of this mainstreaming of Bitcoin that's been happening over the past several months.
Sure. And what do you think the reason behind that is? Because ultimately, why now? This is a coin and a currency that existed during 10 years' time.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, the reason now as opposed to the others is that the other cryptocurrencies have really not performed really well. Bitcoin has proven that it has stability. Even in a down market, it hasn't really dropped below like the 6,000 range, and that I think gives a lot of people a lot of confidence that it's going to stay around. Also, lately the fact that the Lightning Network has come online, a lot of people have been using that to great effect. There's a hacker in Brazil, Ricardo Reyes, who's shown how you can use the Lightning Network and Bitcoin to buy like a Coke from a vending machine, for example. So there's been a lot of big banks also that have adopted blockchain in general, and that validates the technology. While not Bitcoin specifically, it validates the technology in general, and that coupled by the fact that there are a lot of pending ETF decisions that the SEC is still deciding on, it gives a lot of people a lot of hope that this thing is going to become huge. Also, there's a lot of political and economic instability in countries like Venezuela and Argentina, and Bitcoin adoption in those countries have massively grown over the past several months.
Sure, and there's a cryptocurrency specifically that we're talking about in Venezuela. We've got Pedro, right? The currency that they released. At the moment, are we looking into the Federal Reserves as in this is going to be the gold standard, or are we looking more like, okay, this is something I'm going to buy a Coke with? Just quickly.
Well, I mean, right. Well, I think Bitcoin does seem to be somewhat of a standard. Petro, while Venezuela has been trying to make it a standard, I'm not really bullish on Petro because we're not entirely certain about whether the government exactly has the ability to actually pump out all the oil that it says is backing this cryptocurrency. But on the other hand, if you look at Bitcoin...
And it sort of started the whole hype with stable coins. Now, this is really interesting, Jason. Like, please stay with us and join us later on in the program when we talk a little bit more about the actual economical aspect of things. Sure, you're watching Blocks Live. Welcome back. We are here to talk about ways cryptocurrency is adopted, particularly Bitcoin. And we've seen massive changes in the US. In Malta, the government is very pro. Now, joining me on the line is Jason Fernandes from AA Tokens. Thank you so much. We talked earlier in the show about ways the governments are adopting in different ways, and they are so different all over the place. Now, if we just take the case of cryptocurrency, what would be the benefits and disadvantages for our government to be pro-crypto?
Well, okay, let's start with the benefits. The benefits are you open yourself up to vast amounts of capital that will be flowing into the country because you have basically capital goes where it's most wanted. And if it finds a better regulatory atmosphere in a particular country, that country is going to see massive investment. So, for example, countries like Singapore that have really well thought out crypto policies, Malta as well, those countries will see tons of new companies like moving there. Like I said earlier, ZPay has recently moved to Malta. A lot of companies, for example, that are looking at Singapore to incorporate in because Singapore has really clear ideas of how they want their crypto to go. So the benefit is you have not only capital moving there, you have a lot of blockchain talent. So you have a lot of engineers, for example, that have decided that they would rather set up something over there. And overall, you'll see a lot of innovation coming from these countries because if you think of blockchain as the new internet or like the new dot com, there's lots and lots that needs to be done here, and there's massive growth potential. So going to the
Okay, so I think the counter argument to that would be how much of these projects are actually real? Because one of the big criticisms the blockchain space has had is that nothing real really comes out of it.
Yeah, so I've heard that criticism a lot, but there's a lot of full-on active projects, blockchain projects that are live, that are operational. You know, you see even big banks like Canada Bank is looking into blockchain adoption. So I'm not really sure I buy that criticism that there's no real world usage of blockchain. There's plenty of real world usage of blockchain. Nothing. People are using it to track. People are using it to track packages, for example, like supply chain management. People are also using it, like for example, the refugee crisis. A lot of the UN is using blockchain to track these refugees and to essentially give them a form of credit. There's plenty. I mean, I could sit here like talk forever about like actual real world adoption of blockchain. I'm just really not sure why a lot of people say that there's no real world adoption, because I don't think that's true.
Sure, and I guess we're left to see here what is going to happen with different governments and different histories and different stories here. I think at Blocks Live here, we're definitely very interested in seeing how these projects evolve, particularly in places like Malta and Singapore, and what's going to be happening next. Now, just in 2 words, is this going to be a success? Is this the new internet?
Yeah, absolutely. I think blockchain is the future, and I mean, if you don't jump on board, you're going to be left behind. So the sooner countries get on board, the better it is for them and their economies.
And we are here to report on the latest about jumping on board on blockchain here at Blocks Live. James, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. Now, we'll be watching more on crypto and blockchain in the show. For now, thank you.